Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about PCS season and how it impacts competition for military Space A flights. Now before we jump into this, I want to define exactly what PCS stands for and why it matters to Space A travelers. PCS stands for Permanent Change of Station. Now as we know, the needs of the military change over time. Missions change. Career demands for individual service members change and evolve. And those are just a couple of the driving factors behind PCS moves. Now, I know that many of you are very experienced current or former military members, and you know everything there is to know about PCSing. But there are some here who may be Space A eligible who may have left the service early in their career as a result of an injury. They may have become medically retired, or alternatively, there may be some here who are Space A eligible because they are the surviving spouse of an eligible veteran. And so this information has application to them as well. And I want to walk them through the meaning of PCS and why PCS season can impact the experience of Space A travelers. Now, according to DFAS, the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, the technical definition of permanent change of station is, quote, in the United States Armed Forces, a permanent change of station, PCS, is the assignment, detail, or transfer of a member or unit to a different duty station under competent orders, which neither specify the duty as temporary nor provide for further assignment to a new duty station, nor direct return to the old station, end quote. Well, that's a nice bureaucratic definition, but the bottom line, the service member and their family are transferring to a new duty station, either CONUS or OCONUS overseas, and that assignment is going to last between 2 and 4 years. That is a PCS move, permanent change of station. The military has adopted PCS season, running roughly mid-May through mid-September, because the summer represents the least disruptive time frame for military families to make their moves. The same is true for civilian families. It's just the best time frame to do it. As a result, those military families who are PCSing are flying as space-required passengers on military aircraft. This means there are less available seats for Space A passengers on Patriot Express flights. And that increase in competition for seats spills over, impacting seat availability not only on Patriot Express, but also on cargo aircraft. Now, if you're not familiar with Space A travel on Patriot Express, check out this video where I cover the 10 things that you need to know about Patriot Express. So let's talk about increased competition during PCS season. The increase in competition for seats can lead to some very frustrating experiences for Cat 6 Space A travelers, making the PCS season particularly difficult as a time frame for even the most experienced Space A traveler. And in all honesty, most experienced Space A travelers are going to recommend that you avoid traveling Space A during the PCS season. Now, I know that it's easier said than done, and there are some very legitimate reasons why you might still take the calculated risk of attempting to travel Space A during PCS season. But at least you can be advised and forewarned of the challenges and take some steps to mitigate against being frustrated or sidelined during your travel season. Just know that it could be very, very difficult. Now, just as a bonus, I want to share with you that there are also a couple of other time frames to be aware of when it comes to increased competition for space available seats. And that would, of course, be during the Christmas holiday season, as well as during the spring break season. And that's when a lot of active duty service members are looking to travel and travel with their kids. Active duty service members traveling on leave are Cat 3 when they fly Space A, and that makes for a much more challenging travel season. Just to review, there's the PCS season during the summer, Christmas holidays, and spring break that can represent very challenging time frames. Now, if your circumstances absolutely require you to take a stab at flying military Space A during the PCS season, let's have a look at some of the roll call reports for a couple of East Coast terminals to review some of the data that can help you discern what the level of competition is, and maybe some suggestions about what you can do about it. First, let's look at the roll call for Baltimore Washington International, or BWI. This is a commercial airport. However, it also features a military passenger terminal featuring Patriot Express flights, and it's a primary hub for flights to Ramstein, Germany. First, let me say that I appreciate the BWI passenger terminal chooses to use regular date and time groups on their slides. Let's look at all of these destinations, and in most cases for these listed destinations, they are generally restricted to personnel assigned under orders. According to some of the information that I was able to find, Greenland is no longer under restrictions, but that could change if it hasn't already. Bottom line, Ramstein Air Base is the most likely destination that most Space A travelers would be targeting. And on May 27, we can see that 50 seats were released, but there were 92 passengers signed up to compete for this flight. 50 seats were used, and the lowest category of Space A passenger was category 6. And this person had signed up on 10 April, some 47 days prior to the roll call and prior to being selected. That means the least competitive person who was actually selected for the flight had signed up 47 days prior. And there were at least 42 other people who were not competitive for the flight. So that would indicate the competition for that flight was very stiff, particularly for Cat 6 passengers. Let's take a look at the flight on May 28th to Ramstein, Germany. 38 seats were released. There were 54 persons competing for those seats, and all 38 were used. The date and time of the sign-up of the lowest category selected was 1 April, some 57 days before the roll call. I think that the takeaway here is that the single best way of enhancing your competitiveness is to make sure that you're signed up 40 to 50 days in advance of when you plan to travel. And even then, you're going to be facing some real competition if you elect to travel during the PCS season. Now, some travelers just abandon the sign-up strategy altogether, and they show up day of, not having signed up prior, thinking that they're going to get a seat. And that's a sketchy approach, even if you're not traveling during PCS season. So if you want to be competitive and avoid frustration, sign up well in advance. So now let's have a look at Dover Air Force Base roll call during the same time frame. Looking at Dover Air Force Base's roll call, we see there were 4 flights to Ramstein Air Base during more or less the same time frame, again with significant competition for seats. But the availability of 4 flights mean that there were twice as many flight opportunities occurring out of Dover versus BWI. However, the flight that departed to Ramstein on June 2nd only got down to Cat 3 passengers, probably because there were so few seats released and so much competition for seats. Now, just to walk you through this, you can see for yourself looking at the PAX selected date and time sign up for the May 29th flight to Ramstein. Dover is using Julian dates to represent the date group here in this column. There may be a lot of folks who are unfamiliar with that approach, so let's look at this date of 141, switching over to the Julian calendar. Here we see at 141 the 141st day of 2024, and that calendar date is May 20. So what does that mean for competition for these 10 seats? We know 24 people competed, and the lowest person actually selected for one of those 10 seats was a Cat 6 traveler who signed up on May 20. So any of these other Cat 6 travelers who would have signed up before would have been more competitive and probably would have made the flight. So my read on this is that people who are showing up last minute, having signed up less than 10 days before the flight during a highly competitive PCS season, thinking they had a chance at success, didn't. Now let's look at the flight on May 30. There were 30 seats released. And once again, referring to the Julian calendar, at day 107, the least competitive traveler selected had signed up on April 16, and that's 44 days prior to the date of the roll call for this flight. That makes this a highly competitive situation for seats. So that gets us to the question, what can someone do to increase their odds of success during PCS season? Well, there's a couple of things that they can do. First and foremost, you've got to sign up early. You have to sign up early. Remember, Cat 6 travelers can sign up to 60 days in advance of traveling. So the timing of your sign up is critical. If you're active duty, you have to be on leave in order to sign up. But active duty travelers are Cat 3. So your competitiveness within your category is much different than that of a Cat 6 traveler. That doesn't mean there's guarantees, but your competitiveness is better. Second, don't limit your options by just signing up at one passenger terminal. Sign up at multiple passenger terminals to increase your odds of success, and then monitor their 72-hour schedules, because while it's great to catch a Patriot Express flight, if you're limiting yourself just to the Patriot Express option, you may be losing out on flight opportunities on cargo aircraft that are also going to the same destination or region. Again, Space A travel is an adventure. Sometimes things go perfectly smoothly and everything works out fine. But during the PCS season, competition is so high, it can be very, very difficult. I hope this information's been useful. If you're just getting started looking into Space A, I want to encourage you to check out this video series here. It's my Space A Bootcamp series. And in these videos, I've lined out the process step by step to help folks get started. So best of luck to you as you're planning your next Space A trip. And I will see you on the beaches.